This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being transcribed.
This meeting of the Tennessee Cosmetology and Barber Board of Examiners is called to order. As we get started this morning, the first order of business will be to call the roll.
Thank you, Chairman Gillahan. This is Roxana Gamusio. I am the Executive Director with the Cosmetology and Barber Examiners Board. Today is December 4th, and we're starting our meeting right at 9 a.m. This meeting was properly noticed on the board's website, and the agenda has been updated on November 29th. The meeting dates were updated in August of 2022. So the first order of business is I will do a roll call vote to make sure that we have quorum, and we can proceed from there. As I call out your name, if you can please make sure that the mic becomes red or push the speak button so we can hear you. Ms. Anita Charlton, Mr. Ron Gillahan,
Here.
Ms. Monica Lemons,
Here.
Ms. Judy McAllister,
Here.
Mr. David McElreath,
Here.
Mr. Jeffrey Moran, here. Ms. Lane Petty, here. Ms. Becky Russell,
Here.
Ms. Mona Sappenfield,
Here.
Ms. Amy Tanksley.
Here.
Thank you. And we have two new board members, Ms. Tamika Turner and Mr. Ryan Timmons.
Here.
Thank you. And Chairman Gillum, as an order of business, if I could, I want to introduce also everyone to our new attorney that has taken over Hugh Cross' position. Joe Wharton is immediately to my right, and he's already been doing a lot of work for our program, so I think you all will be very happy. And of course, Jesse Gentry subbed in and did a wonderful job last time and is training Joe in anything you need. We've got both of them.
Very good.
The next quick order of business is I want to thank two of our members that have been thanked by the governor for their long tenure on the board, Mr. Frank Ambusa and Patricia Parsons. And so we will miss them. I know they both have done an outstanding job. They were both on the board appointed in July of 2014. And items with schools, with shops, they were both just instrumental. And if anyone wants their contact as far as the board members, I'll be happy to share that. But they offer their thanks for everything they've done and learned. So they will be greatly missed.
Yes, ma'am. And just to kind of piggyback on that, I do want to personally thank them for all the hard work and support and their expertise they brought to this board. They're going to be greatly missed, but we want to make sure we're also welcoming our two newest members, Ms. Turner, Mr. Timmons. Welcome to the board, and congratulations and condolences and all the things that go along with that. I'm sure you're going to find a lot of good friends here and a lot of opportunities to serve the people of Tennessee. So welcome. Okay.
Thank you both. Yes.
Joe, not to leave you out of that as well. Okay. The quick announcement, just a point of order. At the end of the program today, we will have opportunity for public comments. If there's anyone who has something that they need to say, we will have some time to comment as we need. The next order of business will be to welcome our visitors and guests out here in the audience. Do we have any schools represented here today? Oh, we've got several schools. Do we have any students from our schools?
Students are walking in.
I think I see some students coming in.
You're welcome.
Young folks, can I ask what school you're from back there? Pearl Cone. Good to see you this morning. Appreciate you taking time to come down. Okay. Welcome to all of our school participants here today. Ms. Roxana, we need to see about approving the minutes from the October 23 meeting.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Board members, you were sent the October 2023 minutes. If there are any corrections, please let me know. We can amendment. Otherwise, we would need a motion and a second to accept those minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion by David McElreath and a second by Amy Tanksley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Chairman. The meeting minutes for October are approved. If it's okay with you, we will proceed with the schools and those appearing before the board. Members, you will start on the school applications, and I'll kind of give you page numbers, especially for our new members, to keep us on task because we have a lengthy document, a total of, I believe, 9 different applications, 11 different applications with 9 different schools. So the first item before you is the Institution School of Cosmetology. This is a school name change. They have a cosmetology and a barber license. As the members know, if it is strictly an organization, an incorporated change in the name, mostly for accreditation purposes, I'm able to do those in between meetings. This is truly a name change. And so Ms. Patricia Moten is on the call if you have any questions. But on the documents, you also can see the business license. And so we would just need a motion to approve if there are no questions.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I believe I have a couple of comments here.
And they're adding to the name. It's the Institution of Cosmetology and Barbering because they are duly licensed. That's really their only change. Yes, sir.
I noticed going through, this is just kind of a housekeeping thing for them because I know it's just a name change. I noticed they did not have listed in their requirements the rule requirement for domestic violence for, of course, for their program. If they could add that into their documentation.
And I don't think they've provided any documentation. They just have the application and the business license. They are on page 3 through 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong thing.
You got it. No, absolutely.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, that was a different one.
Next item of business on your iPads, and this starts on page 7. This is Urban Beauty Barber Institute. This is a reinstatement of the cosmetology school license. On the phone, you would have Ms. Penny Burns or her husband, Mr. Tim Burns. This school failed to renew when the cosmetology school licenses have their renewal cycle. As most of you know, in the statute for cosmetology, if by September 30th of each year a school does not renew, then they must actually reapply. And so that is what you have before you, their reapplication. The statute is pretty clear that there is no late renewal after September 30th. If you have any questions, I welcome those. You have before you the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement catalog, and the contingency plan for this school. Again, this school was active, but during the renewal period failed to renew. Thank you.
Is anyone on the line from
Yes.
Ms.
This is Penny Burns. I so apologize. My husband, we had sort of split and our task and everything, and you know, we just missed it. I apologize.
Thank you.
I apologize as well.
Oh, no apologies. That's just fine.
Yeah.
Folks, thank
This has never happened to us before, so you know, we've just beat each other up over it.
I don't get Christmas presents this year.
Okay, well, let's hope that improves a little bit. Get off the naughty list.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm in trouble.
In your application paperwork, I had a couple of questions. You're
Okay.
listed as a cosmetology and barber program. Is that what you are?
Yes, we are.
This is strictly the cosmetology review. The barber
the barber
is
side is
active,
okay.
not at all.
Perfect.
So we're just looking at the
Perfect.
cosmetology today. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Okay. Again, there's a couple of one or two little housekeeping items. In your contracts, in your enrollment agreements, you have a reference to the age of the student, but you don't have anything listed specifically in the enrollment agreement about the education requirement, whether you're documenting that they're have reached that 10th grade level.
Okay, we can get that added in. I thought that was in here. I apologize. Okay, so I'll add the age requirement to enrollment agreement.
The high school.
Right. It's the high school.
Yeah,
It's the high school component.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And also, I did not notice. You may be able to tell me quickly where it is. Your method and your backup method for logging in the student hours, and also for tracking the part-time and full-time students separately. It is on 15. Okay.
I found it. It's on page 15 for
Thank
the
you.
board members.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that would be the notes that I have.
I have some notes. Do you all offer manicuring aesthetics and the instructors program?
We offer, yeah, we do.
I'm not seeing the curriculums for those. I saw them for cosmetology and barbering, but not for those particular programs. Are those in there somewhere? Did I miss them?
I thought they were in here. I may have not, just when I was building this document, I may have not put those in there, but that is in our handbook and all, our master handbook. So, I mean, I thought, we sort of merged everything to send to Roxanne, and so I must have not, so I can get that over to you.
Sorry. Another thing that I didn't see is you have that you're open from 10 to 2, but it doesn't say what days of the week. So if you'll just add that in as well.
Yeah, Monday, Friday, right. Okay.
So if you'll just put Monday through Friday, and then the instructors, which I didn't see the curriculum for that as well, but you'll need to make that note of that they need to have 3 years of licensure. And that will
Right,
probably be
okay.
somewhere in your curriculum, but in that area. And that's all the notes that I have for you.
Okay.
I have some notes, and it just happens that you're the first that this is indicated on, but it's throughout many of the presentations today. The Tennessee license and curriculum for esthetician is spelled incorrectly throughout all of these, many of these applications. The correct spelling for an esthetician license in Tennessee is A-E-S, and many of them are ES, and it's very confusing to the consumer, and also a scope of practice issue. So that we'll be seeing in future legislatures. So if we could just stay with what it really is and correct the spelling, it's just basically, just a change of spelling of esthetician spelled with an A instead of an E throughout the paperwork.
Ms. Mona, we'll make sure that's updated all the way throughout ours. We'll just add the A in.
Thank you.
If I could just add that this isn't something we've required in the past, so I don't have a problem insisting, but I don't know that we can mandate that they spell a word a certain way. We can ask that they do that, but our license prints the correct way, right? The
Right.
statute has it the
Right.
correct way, the hours they submit. I just don't know that we can mandate that their documents have it the way
Well,
Tennessee
the question
does.
is really what's the difference?
Right.
So, out of all the states that have esthetician's license, because not every state really does have them, but there are just 2 states, Tennessee being one of them, that spells it with an A. So I know a lot of the information that's submitted is from crossing state lines, and that's why it's spelled with an E. But it's what's the difference is really the big question. So
I just want y'all to keep in mind, we have never asked for it, and I don't know that we can mandate them to change that lettering, but I get the point without a doubt. Manicuring is the same thing. A lot of the schools refer to the nail tech program. They do not refer to it as a manicuring, and that's pretty big because our license is nowhere says nail tech.
Ms.
Yes, sir.
Roxana, we had a question here because that license had lapsed. Does the school need to be re-inspected?
It will be.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And since we're touching on the inspection, the board, we had discussed at the last meeting that it's very difficult for our board members to make the inspection. So anytime it's a new school, I go ahead and reach the member in that area and ask if they can go at the same time that the field inspector's going. But if they don't respond, and in last meeting, I had 2 that I reached out, neither responded. So the inspection then is taking place without a board member, and the field inspector will cover it all. But we will still definitely attempt to get one of our members there. Yes, thank you, sir.
So we have a motion and a second on this application, I believe.
We do not yet.
Oh, we don't? Do
No.
we have a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
We do have a motion and a second to approve this school with the necessary inspections. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations and good luck on getting it back on track.
Thank you. We
Thank
put a
you.
lot of backup stuff in here so we don't ever have this happen again. Thank you so much.
Mr. and Mrs. Burns, it's Roxanne. I apologize. If you'll make sure those items, I believe there's 5 items that were pointed out, if you'll have those changes made and then just email them to me sometime later this week, okay?
Will do,
We will
Roxanne.
do.
Have a question, Roxanne.
Yes, sir.
When will the inspection, are we thinking, you need to get these items in first?
Yes, I need to get those, and again, because this is really a reinstatement, and you've got students waiting on this due to the lack of the renewal happening, I think you can go ahead and open as soon as I get the documents. The inspection should be able to get to you immediately because you're already operating as a Barber school. Ron, would you agree? Yeah, that we don't need to wait. So if you can get those documents to me, we will proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Next on your iPads, starting on page 35, this is Genesis Career College. It is a change in location. This school is both a cosmetology and a barber school. You have both applications. Ms. Carrie Kulig is participating on the call to answer any questions you might have. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were presented. This application goes all the way to page 116 because it's an accredited school, and we saw that last time. The catalog sometimes is very lengthy, includes things that we don't regulate and need to necessarily dive into, but I'll turn it over to you, Chairman Gillihan.
Good morning, Ms. Kulik. It's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
I really only had maybe 1 or 2 questions for you, and they're very simple.
Okay.
When I noticed your drawings, your submissions for your floor plans, in this change of location, are you building up and adding a second floor here, or are you moving to a far different location?
We're actually moving 1 block away from our current location, and it's on the 2nd floor.
Okay, I noticed the second floor in there at some point, so that's what stood out in my mind. I wasn't sure if it was at your current location, if they'd made some changes. The only thing that I could discern easily that might be missing is, as I referred to earlier, the domestic violence training requirement. I didn't notice that in several of our applicants today, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. It might be something that you need to possibly add for the enrollment agreement, so a student does know that that's required now.
Okay.
But before I pass this off, I want to congratulate you folks for having such a clean and orderly and well-presented package. It's always a pleasure to go through.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say that.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. And we'll ask if there are any other comments or questions about curriculum. Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this application. This would require inspections, correct?
Field inspector, yes, sir.
Field inspector. And I would be remiss, of course, you did say you're only moving 1 week, so 1 block away, so I don't suppose it's going to be a great burden on your student, correct?
That's correct.
All right. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries, and congratulations and good luck on the new location.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kulig. Board members, thank you. The next item is the IB Institute School of Nail Technology. And if you give us a second, we have Ms. Natalie Rawls, the owner, appearing here before the board.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Rawls. It's nice to meet you in the hallway out here.
You have before you, this school is a specialty manicure school located in Memphis. The application, floor plan, and enrollment agreement, as well as the catalog and contingency plan, were all received timely. I will turn it over to you, Chairman Gillihan.
Ms. Rawls, would you like to tell us just a little bit about your school?
Am I correct? Oh, okay, great. technology. We're in the process of expanding the school and we're adding a nail program. It is to our understanding that previous graduates are interested in obtaining a nail license, and we thought about it and we decided to offer that. The process with the spa and wellness industry is continuously growing, and having dual license is important because if a student's not busy in aesthetics, they can also add a nails to that up servicing the client's ticket as well. I've been in the industry for over 33 years. I have three licenses, three modalities: aesthetics, cosmetology, and massage therapy. We're looking forward to incorporate some of that into the new nail program. We will be a specialty nail program specializing in medical nail technology, partnering with the North American School of Nail Technology as well.
Wonderful. um, Again, you're probably going to hear this a lot today for those who are listening. The domestic violence requirement, I did not notice that in your documents if you don't have that.
Which document, sir, so I can add it? I thought it was in our catalog.
Um, since it's a requirement
Yes.
for licensure, I believe in your enrollment agreement, you're required to have any direct requirements in there. It'd be good to have a notation in
Yes. Okay.
that in either case. I did have a note about your school hours. In your programs, you indicate various different schedules, but it appears you're going to be open from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yes, we're incorporating a day program and a night program, and for hours for students to make up.
Okay. With that, since you have different programs going, do you have sufficient staff to be able to cover all those programs at the same time? Because I noticed some of them are being trained at the same hour. So if you've got a nail program and a cosmetology program, are they commingled? Is that, or do you have instructors just for the manicure portion?
Yes, sir, we do have an instructor for the manicuring course. As a matter of fact, she was one of our former aesthetic students, but she was practicing nails 10 years before joining the aesthetics program. So now she is licensed as a nail instructor in the state of Tennessee.
Since we're mentioning instructor, are you offering an instructor program for this?
Yes, we are. We're offering it to have just in case somebody calls. We rather have everything before the board now, so we won't have to bother you again.
Maybe someone else found it, or maybe I just overlooked it, but I did not notice your instructor curriculum in your package.
We have two applications that was submitted, one for manicures instructor training and another one for just manicures, and we have both information that is listed in our catalog.
And that is on our page 139.
Yes, okay. 139. I did not see a statement that you're tracking your full and part-time students separately, and also one notation just strictly for clarity for your students.
Mm-hmm.
In your enrollment agreement on page 13, you do have your statement that says the students have received information, but your enrollment agreement is not completed until page 14. So it appears that there's something beyond what they're signing for there. If you take a look at that, it may be clear to you.
On the manicurist contract, page
Yes.
14.
Yes, look at 13 and 14. Your statement that the student has received their completed agreement is on page 13. So if something's coming after that, it might not be included for them.
On page 14, that's the enrollment agreement. That's a check-off list that they have checked off that they received everything according to what's required by the state board.
I believe she's got that statement at the bottom of each of our pages for the initialing of, at the bottom of the pages, she has not just the initial, but a full statement.
He does.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Did anyone else have any notations?
This working? There we go. Sorry about that. I have one question. On page 5, form of payment, it just says we do not accept credit cards, personal checks, Cash App, etc. But it doesn't say what you do accept. I don't know if I'm missing it or not, but I didn't see that on there. Just for the applicant to know what you do accept. Page 5 of 14. It'd be 125 on our.
Okay, I do have a copy. Thank you so much. I do remember putting that in. I just can't remember where it is. But I will go back through and add that we need to add the methods of payments
That you do accept.
that we
Just
do accept.
just so that they would have,
Mhm.
know.
We do have it that they're supposed to pay with a cashier's check, a money order from the post office and Kroger. We have to be specific, or a cashier's check from their bank. I do believe I have it in here, but if it's not, I go back through and add it, and I've made notations. Domestic violence needs to be added, and the methods of payments. Is that correct,
I believe so. I mean,
Mr. Gilliam?
Mr.
Yes, that's
Gilliam.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
And I believe you requested that you add a note, since you do have full and part-time students, that their documents are tracked separately there,
okay.
saved separately. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is there.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve with the appropriate inspections. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations and good luck. Enjoy your new program.
Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, board members. We will proceed on your iPads. We are on page 165. This is, I'll give everybody a minute to get there, as well as myself. This application is from BDMC Professional Services LLC. This is a reapplication of an aesthetic school license. If you'll give me a minute, Ms. Portia Bailey Brown and her father are both here appearing before the board. This school is located in Hermitage. They were previously licensed from June 2021 through March 2023 and had closed for a while. Now they've got a new location. I believe you've got the floor plan application, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. And again, they're reapplying for the aesthetic school license that they had. Thank you for being here.
Thank you again. And this is an aesthetic school.
Yes, sir. Specialty Aesthetics, BDMC Professional Services. And it's really a reapplication for the previous license.
I noticed on your diagram, I'm not seeing any kind of dimensions on this. I know in a specialty program, there's not a specific square footage for that. Can you tell me though, a little bit about your space?
I can. So we recently moved. In our old plan, we have 3 rooms. With this one, we have a larger space that's broken down into sections. What we've gotten a lot of interest on, both from other experienced cosmetologists and estheticians and the students, is the apprenticeship program. That way they're getting a higher volume of actual hands-on experience. So with our students, they're able to utilize the apprenticeship program, or have been, and that seems to have been really good for the ones who went to boards. And then in that space, we have the treatment rooms where they get one-on-one with the instructor while they're doing the service. And so we just downsized by 2 treatment rooms.
Okay. Is any portion of your program being taught online?
So yes, in that if they can't make it to class, we have a live instructor that will do it with them on Zoom. And then we have an actual live classroom. It's a hybrid program.
Hybrid, okay.
Mhm.
Can you tell me, is this an apprenticeship only program?
No, we have treatment rooms. They actually do services in the schools. We have a lecture hall, so it's the apprenticeship program is just an add-on benefit to. I'm sorry, Queen. I was looking over here. I told him I left my glasses in the car. 40 is hitting a little harder than I expected, but so it's just an added benefit. We've gotten a lot of single parents, nursing professionals that are shifting and making it the apprenticeship hybrid has been made it more beneficial for their schedules.
I just wanted to make sure that you were doing both.
Yes, ma'am.
And I get the whole glasses thing. You'll see me put mine on and off all day.
I didn't drive though.
Okay. You know, it looks like I've got several notes here, so I'm just going to start asking you a few questions, okay? I'm sure you may have some of these things in your documents. It's possible I've overlooked them, but anyone else who've covered this, please help me out here. You do specify the number of clock hours in your program, but I did not find where you indicated specifically the number of weeks and how many, what the student's individual schedule would be. So I'm enrolled in your school. I'm starting on Tuesday the 6th, and I'm graduating on such and such date for how many weeks, and I'm scheduled to be there on these hours during the week. So I didn't quite see that information in there. It's pretty important.
So we don't do the rolling enrollment, which I know a lot of schools does. We have specific start dates. So if they started January 20th, then they have 300 hours. If they're doing, let's say, the
Yes, they are.
lash
If
program,
the board
and their
sending
clock
appeals.
date.
Hold on. If I could interrupt our team's members, make sure to please mute yourself so that on the recording we have the person that is actually appearing before the board.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Someone on Teams is watching the streaming live. Could you please turn that off? Thank you. And the only thing I will add, since I've interrupted you all, on page 171 on your iPads is the number of weeks that they can select and months. Thank you. I apologize.
Appreciate
for
that.
the
No, I
interruption.
appreciate it because I realized mine was on my phone and I don't have my glasses. So
I get it. I'm there. I can't take mine off. Go right ahead.
I'm just going to kind of go down my list here. Grounds for termination.
For the student,
Yes.
it should be in there.
That one is there. Let me see if I can find it. Our 172.
Y'all are amazing. I appreciate it.
Sometimes I'm looking for it in one spot and it may be in another. So, your policy on sanitation.
He has that one too. 175.
175. Okay. Man, I must have been asleep when I did this one.
That's worse. I don't know if y'all remember, my father is my business partner, sir, and he is retired military and a retired educator from a couple colleges as well as Casey. So he doesn't let me get a quarter. He's like, the checklist says.
Sometimes I change 2 or 3 pairs. So. Are you doing you did say you're doing the instructors component to this or no?
We currently, right now, they're not doing the master educators.
Okay.
If we decide to do it in the future, we resubmit that curriculum, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Turner, if you can make sure your red comes on so we can hear you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. On page 180, it shows the on-site training programs, and it said aesthetic students as well as our lash tech students. Are we doing both licenses at the same time, or is this just for the aesthetics program? Like, is your lash tech program already?
It's a separate program, yes, ma'am. And so while we have the staff or educators to be able to teach both classes during the same time frame, they are 2 different programs if they only want to do lashes.
So would that be a requirement to have two separate spaces for that, or can that both go on at the same time in the same space?
If the question is, can they be in the same classroom and learn together? No, they're different courses. So you would have to have them education-wise for the theory, just like you would for manicure or natural hair. They're not in the same classroom. They can be in the aesthetics program. Remember that the eyelash specialty falls under either cosmetology or aesthetics.
So that's my question.
And so, because to expound off that, if you don't mind, I do not mean to interrupt, because we thought of that, and so that's part of on our end the hybrid program. A lot of our lash techs started lashing that we've been seeing coming through it before they realized there were laws behind it, and so they have separate hours where they come in. They're not sitting in the lecture hall at the same time while one teacher is teaching on one side and the other is other. And then after their lecture hours, we've been getting a lot of hands-on with either in the clinics or through an apprenticeship program.
Thank you.
And that piece, Ms. Turner, is on page 170, where the curriculum for aesthetics is separated from the eyelash. Thank you.
Since you mentioned your apprentice program, the hybrid part of this, there's a pretty big one here. Your statement in your contracts that say the apprentice program must be completed within 150% of the program length.
It's my understanding that because it's an apprentice program, they need extra hours, and because they're working one-on-one with another licensed tech. So that was to let them know that if they need more time, they're not penalized or charged extra for it. I can change the verbiage.
Let me consider.
That's part of the rules where if they're an apprentice student, they would have more time than the traditional 1.5 times.
So, would it be
the statement indicating that they have to be complete within 150% is what I'm looking for.
I can change
So
the statement.
that's actually kind of a maximum time frame.
Okay. Would it be better for me to just change that statement to what she said in general, like you have more time?
Can you indicate to me where it is in your documents and let me take a look again at exactly what you have?
The statement on the 150% of the time for apprentice. And if we find it, we will.
Sure, we
can
come back to that.
I did not find it either, so that was one of my notes, is that she didn't have that statement. So
it needs to be added.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
To be clear for you, if somebody's in an apprentice program, then the regulation requires that they must complete the entire program in no more than 150% of the original allotted time. So,
okay, then I can have that added to page 3, where I gave the section about the apprenticeship program. I know when I was doing that, it got a little wordy, so I must have just removed that part. I will have that added back in, and I'm making note to do that.
and one last thing regarding your distance learning or any of those electronic components, there's nothing that's going to be asynchronous, correct? They're not going to be doing it on their own time in their own way. They're going to be viewed.
In fact, that one, just to make sure it stays regulation, I'm actually the live instructor that teaches those solely. That way I know exactly what's going on and when.
And may I make just give a word of advice? On page 181 on our iPads where it says career paths, as far as the students just understanding that they have to pass the test, because you have some students that think because they took the test that they can go into the salon and that breakdown in communication, just spelling it all the way out for them that they have to take it and pass the test, or just change the verbiage, I guess, so that it won't.
I've run into that. We have a wait list right now, and I was like, you do realize you have to pass. So yes, ma'am, I will make that in there.
I had a note that I didn't, and you may have seen this, Ron, that when they sign their agreement, I didn't see where it said that they are receiving a copy. So on their signature line, if you will just make sure that it says that the student is receiving a copy and make sure that they are.
That way again, yes, ma'am, I can do it. And they do theirs electronically. So should I? And so when the minute they sign it, it sends us a copy and them a copy. Does it matter if it says you will receive an electronic copy, or can I just?
I'm okay with that. Just making sure that they do, that they get a copy and that they're signing saying that they know that they're getting a copy.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve with the proper inspections. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Congratulations. Go forth and do nails.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics, I'm sorry. Apologize.
Thank you, members. We will start on page 186. The next school before you is Advanced Aesthetics Academy. This is a new specialty school, and we'll give our members, thank you, good morning, Kevin. Mr. Kevin Johnson is appearing before you. This school is located in Hendersonville. You have the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, and catalogs before you. This is their first specialty aesthetics school. If you have any questions, Chairman Gillihan, I will turn it over to you, and welcome. Kevin, nice to see you.
What page is that for us again, Ms. Roxanne?
Pardon me?
86.
What page?
We start on page 186 all the way to 270.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it. If you would, if you want to take just a moment and tell us a little bit about your school.
Sure. We are Advanced Aesthetics Academy, opening up an academy that we would like to offer aesthetics, eyelash specialty, as well as the instructor course there in Hendersonville.
Is this going to be a residential in-house program, or are you doing anything as distance learning, or?
We will utilize virtual as well for that. I think you'll kind of see on the application, we've kind of got a couple different components there. I think we've got it blended, but that would be our virtual option.
Tell me a little bit about your delivery for your virtual.
Sure, we are utilizing Zoom as our method of delivery there to have the students obviously incorporated online, as well as just our online learning platform for the delivery of education to assist, as well as utilizing SEMA and Pivot Point, actually, as both of those.
Your program is going to be synchronous. Anything online?
It'll all be virtual. We'll have a live instructor with that.
Synchronous, so there's not going to be any independent learning.
No.
It's all going to be monitored.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Going through your paperwork, just had just a couple of notations here. Again, it seems to be today's theme is having the files kept separate for full-time and part-time, and then the backup method. Did you have that in your
There should be a
documentation?
statement in there that our full-time and part-time files are maintained separately. Should be a statement. I can find what page that is because I know that's in there as a statement, as well as then our backup method for our attendance should be, because we're utilizing Course Key, which is an online method of clock in, clock out, that would then be utilized for that. First, the state.
While you're looking for that, just to kind of step back, and we already know that we're not requiring anything here, but on your page, page 2 of your enrollment agreement, you actually have your aesthetics programs spelled differently on that same page. Yeah, you've used the AES and you also used just the ES. You might have done that on purpose. I don't know.
We'll have the AE.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yes.
I've just noticed it.
Actually, right there when you're looking on the statement, I think it would be page 3 when you get to right below the eyelash specialist. There's a statement: full-time and part-time files are maintained separately.
Gotcha. And are you doing the apprentice program in any form?
That is our plan, to be able to offer apprentice program.
Can you tell me where your statement regarding the 100%, 50% maximum time frame is?
That is not in there as we're kind of going through. I'm kind of making notes as well, so we can get that in there.
I might be losing my mind. Are you offering a full cosmetology?
No.
This is
Aesthetics
just
only.
aesthetics
No
and
cosmetology.
eyelashes. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
I did not see a note about that an instructor must be experienced for 3 years prior, or a instructor student must have licensure for 3 years prior to testing. So if you can make that note or tell me where it's at.
As I was looking back through, just kind of going back through, I did not see that either. So that statement will make sure. Because one of the things when I initially was doing this application, I had individual application. I kind of consolidated because you already had 300 pages from me. So I think that one got missed with that and consolidated down for me. So we'll make that note and get that updated over to Roxana.
Okay.
Okay, and then just on this isn't anything for the board specifically, but just for you, on the first page of your catalog, there are pictures, and the pictures actually are of cosmetology, so they're actually doing hair. I just don't want your students to be misled or think that that's part of it, so you might want to rethink your pictures.
We'll modify those. Thank you.
This is a separate location than the Paul Mitchell School?
Yes. We're close but separate.
Do we have any other questions or comments, discussions? Okay. We have a motion.
Motion to approve with the changes.
We have a motion to approve with the changes and the appropriate inspections.
I will second that motion.
Second by Ms. Mona. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations. Good luck. And we wish you well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, it is my privilege. I'd like to take a minute to introduce to everyone one of our representatives, Antonio Parkinson, and we're thrilled he's here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Roxana.
Oh,
Good morning.
sure.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to be here. Y'all, I'm sure y'all know we do a lot of legislation. Well, most of the legislation for cosmetology, barbering for the industry. And, I just want to say that I truly appreciate all of the hard work that you guys do, you ladies and gentlemen, do on the board. And I think our industry is becoming better because of you. And keep up the good work. Right. And I also want to welcome our newest member, Tamika. She does a lot of hard work in the Memphis area. I'm sure she's going to be a great addition to the board. And thank you all, Roxana. Thank you to you and your staff. Truly appreciate y'all. I know I can be a headache sometimes, but you can say it. It's okay. You can say it in here. But thank you all. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Representative Parkinson, you probably wouldn't remember. We have met, you and I have met a few times on Capitol Hill in different meetings and whatnot, just in passing. I want to thank you. Over the years, you have been instrumental in bringing about some change and helping us move forward. And it's not always easy to take the role that you take, but it is necessary, just as it is with what we do. And we all have the same goals in mind to better the service for the people of Tennessee. And I want to thank you for all your years of hard work and service to the community and to the state of Tennessee. I know the work you do, and I'm very, very proud to have you join us today and to be here, and to know that we all have this common goal of improving things for the industry, for the people, and just making it better. Thank you so much.
I might just quickly.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. Growth is important. This is an industry that many of my colleagues don't get. They don't understand it, but we know that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I think it's important for us to make sure that it's on the radar, because it makes an incredible impact on our state. One of the things that I will be looking at this year is I serve on the TASA board. That's Tennessee Advisory Commission for Intergovernmental Relations. I want y'all each to say that 3 times quickly, okay? Right. And one of the things that I will be looking at this year too is to get TASA to do a study on the impact of the cosmetology and beauty industry in our state. And I think once we get that formal impact study done, it's going to be a game changer for how we are able to move forward legislatively, because then people will really, really understand the importance of the work that's being done here and the work that's being done across our state. All right. So thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all the board members. Mona, always good to see you.
Always great to see you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank
by
you
and
for
visiting
coming.
us, Representative. Thank you. Thank you, board members. We will proceed. That was a wonderful break and welcoming opportunity we had. On your iPads on page 271, this is Journey Academy of Cosmetology. It is a new cosmetology school. Ms. Tamitha Bird is participating, I believe, on the call. If you have any questions.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you so much. This school is located in Adamsville. You have before you the floor plan, enrollment agreement, application, of course, catalog and contingency plan. And Chairman Gillihan, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you for joining us online. We appreciate you very much being here with us today. Can you take just a moment and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your school and your program?
Hi, I am Tamitha Bird. Our school is located in Adamsville, Tennessee. We are a complete cosmetology school, including nails and aesthetics and a junior instructor program. I went to school 30 years ago and didn't pursue that career, and got back into it about 5 years ago, and I'm super excited to be here.
Well, great. We're going to take a look at your programs here, and I'm going to take just a minute and ask if any other members have any questions on what they've seen so far. This is a full cosmetology program, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Are you also doing the instructor training?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. That's what I had on my notes. I'm sure you have it. Your documents seem like they were in pretty good order here. There's a few comments I may have, but I did see cancellations and refunds, but did you have a specific policy where you talk about transfers, whether you accept transfers or not?
Yes, I do. And I want to say it is
280 maybe?
It is. It's on here. Let's see. Oh my goodness.
418, it says transfer. This school may accept appropriate transfer.
We found it.
Beginning of page 2.
Okay.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep. Are you going to be doing an apprentice program?
We are not at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Is any portion of your program going to be done online as a distance program?
No, no, it is not.
Throughout inspection, are the salon floor, does that go under the same scrutiny as a shop itself as far as separation of chairs?
Yes.
Okay, they're going to have a really hard time fitting the minimum.
We don't space out the chairs necessarily. I mean, they've got the square footage requirement that shops don't have.
Okay.
So if they've got the space, I would agree with you, it should be there, but we don't measure the space.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not in our statute.
It is a tight space.
Could you direct me to your contingency plan for teaching out or emergencies?
Yes, I want to say it's maybe on 19. Let me check. No. It's in here.
It is on page 19.
Yeah.
19 of your documents, 294. So there we go. I noticed that in your calculations of your weeks versus hours, that your estimation is off just slightly. You might want to take a look and kind of get your calendar out, and I think your program hours are 32 hours a week on some of those, and I believe it's adding an extra week into your weekly calculations, but that could be an average. So if you would just, it's not a big issue there. I'm just trying to make sure that you're.
We're on the same school schedule as McDaniel County Schools, and there are weeks that they take off.
Right.
So those weeks we will be closed. So we added those in.
Okay, I understand what you're talking about. Sure. Specifically, what about your days and hours of operation for the school? Can you tell me where that is? I know sometimes these things get kind of lost in the paper's work.
I know it's in here. I just
on page 301.
Okay.
There in the middle of the page.
Hey, that's the remainder of the notations that I had. Anybody else have a question? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the application with the appropriate inspections. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. When you're ready.
Thank you.
Yeah, send me an email whenever you're ready for inspections. Am I correct? There were no amendments to this? Is that right?
Right.
Okay, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Next on your iPads, we start on page 307. This is Jewels and Gems B University. This is an upgrade to from a natural hairstyling school to a cosmetology school. Just a brief note, so our licensees are able to upgrade, and most of you probably know if you start with a manicure license, natural hair, aesthetics, and you upgrade to cosmetology, that's the terminology we use, so the license moves up with you. This will be a first that we would be doing this with a shop, with a school. Shops do the same thing. If a shop starts out as a skincare shop and then they add on, they kind of upgrade and take that same license. So here we intend to do the same thing, take the natural hair styling school license and upgrade them to a natural hair styling school. So you have before you Ms. Danica Johnson. She's appearing for the board to answer any questions you might have. The school is located in Milan. And Milan,
Island.
thank you. Milan, thank you so much. They have been open since March 2022. And so I will turn it over to you, Mr. Gillihan, for any questions you have.
Great. Ms. Johnson, would you tell us a little bit about the programs and changes you want to make?
We're a great school, and that's it.
I like it. I like that very much. Jewels and gems, correct? Okay. Are you doing anything online?
Yes, sir. Right now we have the instructors in place to do our cosmetology online Monday through Thursday, in person on Friday. That way we're not getting in the way of any other program and everybody has their own space to do whatever we need to be done.
So you're not going to do any full-time in-house cosmetology. It's really just an online program.
Except for Friday, they will be in-house. Yeah.
On this, it's an upgrade from natural hairstyling to cosmetology school. Okay, on this application, it has change of location.
Correct.
marked.
We don't have an application for an upgrade of school. It's never
Okay.
happened. So the change of location is what's being used because we will need to inspect, and the floor plan is drastically changing. So that's why it says that. Yes. Good point. Thank you.
Mark that one off. Okay. In your enrollment agreement, can you direct me to where the actual enrollment agreement is indicating the education level of the enrollee?
Now, go ahead.
If you look on page 11, it has the
Yes, that's at the top of page 318 for us.
Alrighty. Can you tell me where your policy regarding tracking full-time and part-time students separately and your backup method for logging your hours would be?
So as of right now, the cosmetology will be full time. We won't have part time for it.
Part time at all?
Yes. And as far as the backup, we do have the sign in sheet, but we failed to put on that we will be using Jibble as our online tracking or sign in, sign out system.
You using what? That's a new one.
Jibble.
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 That's a new one on me.
And that's not on your documents, you said, is that correct? Okay, so we'll need to have those added. Thank you.
You're not doing the instructor program, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, we are.
Oh, you are? Okay.
That's how we got our instructors.
Can you direct me to where your policy indicates that you have to have 3 continuous years for the instructor program? 224, thank you. I have already asked you this, but also the statement, no, you are doing apprentices, correct? Okay. So your statement regarding 100%, 50% of the maximum time frame, where would that be?
If you look on page
One-
14, it's
14 of your documents.
323.
Perfect. Okay. Do we have any other questions on this application? Here none. Do we have a motion?
I motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Moran, and who's the second? Okay. To approve with the appropriate inspections. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Congratulations.
We plan to do you proud.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I believe we've only got one addition. If you'll send that to me, then we'll coordinate the inspection. Thank you, ma'am. Great to see you.
May I add, Ms. Johnson was one of our graduates from our program in Memphis for her natural hair license and her instructor license. So I'm very proud of that area.
I
Yes,
love it.
congratulations.
I love it. Thank you, members. Our last school, last but not least, page 331 on your iPads. The school is listed as Boundless Ventures LLC. This is the name of the school is actually Revive Beauty and Wellness Institute. This is a new cosmetology school. Ms. Emily Finley is appearing before the board, as actually participating remotely on the call. She'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. The school is located in Clarksville. You have before you on page 334, I believe, and 335, the floor plan. Cosmetology schools, as you're aware, are required to be 2,200 square feet. In this particular situation, there's a split in the space between addresses, and so I did go ahead and take the liberty, since we have a new attorney, to give them a chance to review the statute and see how to properly guide you. I know Joe can answer your questions, but at this time, I'll let you review the documents. However, based on how the statute is written, the 2,200 square feet cannot be split. It is one location. And so I just want to make sure to let you know that. So at this point, the floor plan wouldn't be meeting the requirements. Thank you, sir. I'll turn it over to you.
Joe, did you have some information on this?
Good morning. I just wanted to say that I reviewed the floor plan, the statute, and the rules set by the board. Unfortunately, the statute didn't have a clear definition of the word school. The statute defines school as a school of cosmetology, which doesn't give us a clear example on the physical structure of the building. I will say I looked back and reviewed the floor plans of both buildings that are proposed as part of this school. Based on the drawings, I don't believe that we can actually calculate the exact square footage. On the second building, one end of the drawing, unless I'm missing something, it says it's 16 feet, and then the other end would be 10, or 10 and 10, so 20 on one end and 16 on the other. Giving them the benefit of the doubt of it being 20 feet for the whole length and not having a 16-foot end, I think with the walkway, the restrooms, and the storage areas, we're going to fall short of the 2,200 of specific instructional floor space.
Okay. I do know that we have had other instances in the past where we've had some schools who did not meet the space requirements. I do have recollection of that on this board and previous as well. it is instructional space, I think. So since this school is not going to meet the requirements of the space, um, I'm going to go ahead and make a recommendation that we deny this application at this time.
I would like to say that in addition to not meeting that portion of the law, just so that anybody else that might be on this meeting or hear this meeting, that there are also specific requirements by law when there is a salon and a school located in the same building, which this one is, and this does not meet that law requirement as well. So just in the future, if you're looking at a salon and a school being in the same building, make sure that you meet those law requirements as well.
At this
Can
time,
I ask a question? I'm sorry, this is Emily.
yes.
Originally, I was going to get the building next door, and so that is kind of on hold right now. I was wondering if we could proceed and let my application pass for the other programs and exclude cosmetology for now, until we are able to get the adjoining building that is going to actually be connected to this building, which is an additional, I think, 1,400 square feet that would be connected with a doorway. Roxana did see my original floor plan, which is will exceed the minimum requirements. We just wanted to be able to see if we could get it to pass using this extra space. I didn't know that it would be, after speaking with her, that I would be penalized for my good faith reliance on the rule as it's written, because I was told that we could have a separate space within 2 miles. So I went ahead and put in the application for the full cosmetology, but can we go ahead and pass it now for the other specialty school programs and allow for me to correct the square footage at a later date?
If I could correct for just a second. So as the board knows, there isn't a branch extension that is allowed. That is what Ms. Finley and I discussed. A branch is for an existing school that is going to spread out. This wouldn't be the case here. And I guess the only thing, Ms. Finley, that I would add is a cosmetology school is the one with the 2,200 square foot. If you're wanting to be a specialty school, it would be either aesthetics or manicuring or natural hair, just one of those. There is no school that can open 3 disciplines and not cosmetology. That would be considered a cosmetology school as the statute is written today. I don't know if that helps. If you're wanting to be evaluated as a specialty and today you pick one of the specialties, then I guess we would look at it from that perspective. But I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Gillahan.
Actually, the application we have in front of us is for the program that's specified on there, so I don't think we'd be able to consider changing that. It would require a new application, I believe. Okay.
Understood.
Members, do we have a motion regarding this application?
That they reapply with their individual program or however to specify for less footage or whatever, but if not, wait until they have the amount of footage that's needed.
What's a motion to deny?
Motion to deny.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to deny this application. They may represent in whatever form they feel appropriate. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries. We're sorry we're not able to approve this at this time, but we're absolutely willing to consider your future submissions. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Finley. Members, we're moving on to our CE providers for continuing education. We're finished with the school applications. Those start on your iPads on page 350. I'd like to take a minute to kind of brief the board on, as you know, every year we have to approve the following year's 16 hours. These are required hours for every instructor. I am requesting that the board this time approve no more than 2 dates for any given provider, and I'm happy to explain that. I've required or suggested this of all of our providers, explaining over the last 2 years the extra workload that adds to the office, but also then by adding some to have 3 or more dates and others are kept to the 2, it's really not fair for those that are limiting their presentation. So 2 years ago, one of our providers dropped from 3 and has stayed with 2. This particular year, we have one that's not presenting theirs at all. They're wanting to focus and change their marketing to just require 1 date. And so I think that is a huge step toward getting us to a place where we are marketing to the instructors efficiently and instructors do have a choice. I want to share some statistics with the board. We have 1,200 active instructors. So you renew every 2 years, which means roughly 600 are taking the continuing education. This last year, we've actually seen more requests for exemptions than in the past. We had the most number of courses and yet more, and I don't want to say procrastinators, but more individuals that waited till the last minute and still didn't have the dates available. So I don't think adding more dates is taking care of the issue. Even in today's presentation, I will need to request an exemption for someone that had a unique situation in their life. So I think by us approving 1 date, if that's all they're asking, or 2 at the most, we're fair with everyone. And then, of course, our providers are able to get the public records request with data and really focus on the dates that they would like to do. For our office, if we're offering more than 2, it's more communication with the provider. It's more back and forth with, whatever's going on wrong. And so from a fairness perspective to all the providers and from the staffing, I'm asking that the board only approve 2 dates at the most for each provider. So with that in mind, I can proceed. I don't know that we need a motion necessarily, other than we do have 2 that are asking for more dates. And if the board is in agreement with my request, they would have to drop one of those dates and have plenty of time to decide which one makes better sense.
And we could let them choose which date they prefer to drop.
Absolutely. I normally post those on the website by the Friday after the meeting, and if they need additional time to make a selection, they can have that, or we can try to update the website later. Okay. Would you like me to proceed, Chairman?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Please.
So on your iPads, we will start with the first session. This is the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, UT Conference Center. They have submitted, of course, their instructor platform very early on. You have it before you. You have the agenda. They're asking for Sunday, July the 21st and Monday, the 22nd of 2024. And this is in person. We would need just a motion to approve this one as is.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
I'll abstain from the vote.
Thank you. And I guess the piece that I didn't add with that is, members used to go to these sessions all the time, and it's become difficult, and you all have, said on the record that they're not necessarily new things, or that you can sacrifice the time. So what I think this time, once we approve dates, I will do for our new members in particular, I'll send the dates out. If you're ever interested in attending, absolutely, the providers welcome you. But even from that perspective, it's been very difficult. I don't think we had any but 1 session last year attended by a board member. And then again, I'm not able to attend because there's so many. Thank you. Next on your iPads is Confident Educator. This is Ms. LaShawn Thompson. She has submitted her instructor continuing education requesting 2 virtual dates. These are May 19th and May 20th and September 15th and 16th. And we would need a motion to approve both those dates.
Roxana, do we have any overlapping date issues as we proceed through the options?
That's a great question. At this time, we do not. And so those that may have to change dates would be able to listen to the dates that we're requesting if they decide based on that what to drop. We don't have any that are going for the same dates, but we do have, I believe, at least on 1 occasion where they are presenting their request during a board meeting date. And that would be their option, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Accept those dates.
We have a motion and a second to accept those dates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And our providers are on the call. If they've got any questions, they can ask us. I appreciate them being on. The next is TCU.
But hold on, I just have a question.
Yes,
Roxana,
ma'am.
where is this being held?
This is remote.
This one is remote. Okay.
Yes, and so she is
Virtual,
on
got it.
page 354. 353 gives us information about the class, and their agenda's on 354.
Both are virtual.
Correct.
Got
Both
it.
are virtual. That's
Thank
a great
you.
question. Absolutely. The next one is TSU. This is the Avon campus here in Nashville. They've submitted their instructor request for an in-person and virtual session. I believe last year they did it both as well. They had people in person and virtually. They are requesting Sunday, August the 4th, and then Monday, August the 5th. That is a board meeting date for us, but it worked out for them last year. If you have no questions, we would need a motion to accept those dates.
Motion?
Make a motion to accept those dates?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept these dates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on your iPad, starting with page 356, this is KINCC Education Group. Ms. Kimberly Anderson is participating on the call. She is requesting several dates. Two of those are virtual, January 20th and 21st, and October 12th and 13th. She is requesting an in-person date at Paul Mitchell, the school, on June 8th or 9th. So it would be at her discretion which one of those 3 dates she would like to drop.
Ms. Kimberly, thank you for joining us. Do you have a preference right now
Morning.
for your dates? Yes.
Good morning. I do not have a preference at this time because I normally have 6 dates. I reduced it to half of that, and now I'm still stuck with choosing 2. I will say 2023 was a great year as it relates to attendance for my sessions. And we just had some great sessions. So I do understand the reasoning for reducing the 2 sessions. It puts me in a pinch because I am passionate about this, as I stated last year. And so it's pretty much the same thing. So I would just have to make a decision on those 2. I'm very unfortunate, but it is what it is.
For the members here, since we're asking her to drop one of these and to put her on the spot at this moment, do you think it would be appropriate to approve this program and let her choose with Roxana which date's going to be dropped, and then you can address that in the postings?
Yes, if the board's okay with that,
Would that be fair
absolutely.
enough? Okay, so do we have a motion?
I would make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to allow Ms. Kimberly to choose the date that she'd like to drop and then inform Roxana, and this would be approved. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. Next on your iPads on page 358, this is Cheers to the Careers That Choose Us. This is Mr. Thomas James' session. He is requesting at this session right here before you is 2 dates. However, he has already been approved for February 4th and 5th, so he already has one 2024 date. On top of that, he would be asking for May 12th and 13th, as well as August 4th and 5th, same as what we just did with Ms. Anderson. To be fair to everyone else, he would need to drop one of those dates, and if it's okay with the board, he can let me know which one he's dropping.
I would suggest for the board that we make the same motion for him. I'm not able to do that, so.
I'll make a motion to accept.
And I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept and allow him to choose his date. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, members. And I believe the last item as far as a continuing education provider is Beauty Educators Leadership Conference. This is Ms. Destiny Cox, and she is requesting 2 dates for 2024, February 11th and 12th, and November 17th and 18th.
These are also virtual, both.
Yes, those are, I apologize. Those are both virtual, yes.
I might make a note about this. I know that there are some names of the classes that are in here that are not very descriptive. So she can name the classes whatever she wants, but a description might be helpful for those who are considering taking these courses. So, I mean, I think that she's chosen these based on, you know, a particular theme, but it doesn't help me to understand what classes will be taught.
I agree with that. I think it'd be great to see what the classes are.
Hello, this is Destiny. How are you guys doing?
Hello, Miss Destiny.
Awesome. These classes, yes, were a first-time theme, a theme class. It doesn't go from the script that I've usually been going. Excuse my voice also, I am receiving relevant information what educators are needing assistance on. And so in the November class, having that football thing just kept it majorly engaged. And then those individuals, just from that feedback, I continue to create class titles with what they had going on in the classroom. So for example, the educator playbook is one of the classes. That is lesson planning, the educators being prepared to follow through, calendars and things of that nature. So I will, if you need a more intensive definition, I don't mind providing that. Each one of those are very relevant, as you can see from the surveys, and very easy to understand and well put together.
Ms. Destiny, that sounds very nice. I think what we're kind of looking for, and I think you already understand this, is of course the description of how close it is, because it's all about teaching methodologies, and just a little clarification in that would probably be helpful. Okay, so
definitely.
And Ms. Cox, if you can, it would just be tweaking the agenda and then sending that back to me. I appreciate it. Did we have a motion?
We don't have a motion
okay.
yet.
Sorry.
Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion with the changes we accept.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second to accept with the changes. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Ms. Cox. Members, we have a raised hand on our teams. We will then, when we get done, we will be switching to the legal report to have Mr. Underhill present, but I believe Ms. Kimberly has a question for us. Ms. Anderson, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. So, board, I have, I'm just considering what's being said as it relates to these dates and these CEU providers. And even I've had, educators to reach out to me prior to this approval that have been interested in those 3 sessions. And now I'm being put in a position to compromise, those dates. And I guess I'm just trying to understand, with the educator being the first point of contact to impact our industry as a whole, how are we, are we really, just consider, are we really doing a due diligence to our industry by, limiting these dates?
Yes. Ms. Kimberly, thank you for your comments. We will consider those. Board members, just in full clarity, I typically, whenever I do my continuing education, I enjoy her classes very much. I do participate in her classes, and she's always done an excellent job. So this is not about that. The board does have the authority to approve or deny any program, any continuing education. There is no magic number that we're required to approve. We're simply trying to meet the needs as we see them. Ms. Kimberly, we are hearing you, we understand, and we will consider your comments. And thank you and good luck, and I hope to see you at some of your classes this upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you, members. For those of you that are new, especially if you will, please on your iPad switch over. The legal report is a separate item. If you can switch to that, and we will turn it over to our legal attorney, Mr. Mike Underhill. Thank you so much for waiting on us.
Good morning, board.
Oh, Mike, good to see you again.
We've got 83 items on the legal report today. We've got 69 cosmetology cases, 7 barber cases, and 7 represents. I know the board always has questions for me regarding the report, so I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Roxanne, could you give me that page again?
It's a separate presentation. If
right,
you,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I'm
just
sorry.
tap anywhere on it. It should give you the arrow to then switch to the legal report, and you have 83 cases total before you. Thank you.
I'm going to give the members just a couple of minutes to kind of scroll through and refresh their memories on these. Mike, can we take a look at number 14, please?
Number 4.
In that case, if I'm reading that right, we're looking at that specific individual's records. I might like to see that expanded just a little bit and check a few records across that spectrum. Okay, at least 2 or 3. Get kind of a cross reference.
I'd like to refer to case number 8 on page 4. I'd like to make sure that in addition to a letter that we're flagging that for reinspection. Concerns that shops can simply not open the door for an inspector. I don't want to set that precedence.
Mike, also on number 28, that's on page 11 for us. I think I'd like to see the same thing take place there, that inspector can cross-check a couple of those, maybe 3 of those records. Is there any more information you could give me on number 35? That was kind of...
On the allegation, I can't really give anything more on that. I mean, the executive director and I got together and thought the best practice would be to send a letter to the individual, giving them an opportunity to provide document otherwise.
Fair enough.
So on that question, bought, was that in Tennessee or another state?
It did not state. I presume it means in the state of Tennessee. It was alleged that they are operating in the state of Tennessee.
If I could add on that one, it says for reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm remembering the case, I think this is an approved license via reciprocity. We've had this in the past with one particular state. And so by asking them for proof of the education from that state, we can then go back to that state's regulatory board and pursue it a little bit deeper. So that's what we're hoping to get here is to find out their education and then go back to that board. Because at this time, we can't vouch that that license is legitimate, of course, after we've approved it via reciprocity. Does that help? So once we get proof of their education, we can go back to that state board and know and possibly go to formal hearing if the that state board says no, this license was not approved by our state.
Okay, so if we don't get that, then what?
Formal hearing.
Okay.
And we've done that. We've had formal hearings with individuals that, and sometimes, a couple times they showed, sometimes they wouldn't, whose license was generated in another state. But when we reach that state, they say that is not a legitimate license with us. And some of the documents were falsified, and that is how we would have approved. So that's what we're wanting to see here.
Goes back to that Texas school.
Some of them, yes. Yes, they're not the only state with issues, but
right.
Yeah. Thank you.
In this case, would we be hearing a further resolution on this in the future?
Is the chairman asking whether there could be a voluntary revocation settlement?
Right.
Yes, that's part of the recommendation.
Oh, it's quiet as test day in high school, isn't it? Here and let everybody finish refreshing and reviewing.
Would you like for me to recap the changes?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one that it was, but where the former field inspector was no longer with us. What happens to those cases?
bring to first item number 77. There's two ways that can be dealt with. What we're recommending here is to re-inspect it with a new inspector, because obviously that'll be a critical witness at a hearing. Otherwise, I think maybe what has been done in the past is to represent those to close and then let them go to their next annual inspection date. Roxanne, am I correct in that, making that statement?
You are correct. The only exception would be if someone else can testify and is an actual witness, right? Without the inspector there, we're often stuck. Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
We've had an opportunity to review these cases and suggest a few changes. Is there any other change that we need to discuss? Mike, could you read?
On item number 8, that is going to be changed to a letter of instruction regarding the shop license for suites and flag. And then on item number 14, the reinspection will also include inspecting, I'll say, 3 other files for cross-reference regarding that issue of the falsification of documents. And finally, on item number 28, the student contract will be cross-checked or cross-referenced with 3 other student files.
We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve with the changes.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with the changes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike, and I just want to make sure I've got it right. I have a motion by Ms. Amy Tansley and a second by Ms. Judy McAllister. Is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
I know several. Thank you. Thank you, members. If you will, and Chairman Gilhan, with your permission, we're going to head back to the presentation, but I'd like to skip a little bit. We have a reciprocity application that involves one of the CTE directors from the Department of Education hopping on the call, and she had a conference early this morning. So we're going to try to leave that to the end to make sure she's on, and if not, I can present on her behalf. So the first item that we'll review, or the next item we'll review, is the applications to test. This is starting on page 387 of your presentation, and I'll give everybody a minute to get there, and then we can proceed. And if we need to take a break, you know to stop me. Otherwise, we will continue. Members, so our felony applicants are the first section on our application to test. You have before you Savannah Adams, Patrick Angel, and Brandon Weaver. These applicants have felonies within the last 3 years and or are currently incarcerated. Their request is to take the Tennessee examination to be approved for a license. With that request, they provide information about the felony itself, the disclosure from the student. Sometimes it's information from the prison and a recommendation of where they are before we proceed. The board approves an agreed order for these individuals. We do a 2-year agreed order. If you choose to do it for longer than that, please let us know. But otherwise, I'll let you review the documents, and we would need a motion to proceed with these 3 individuals. Thank you.
We have a motion to approve with the agreed orders,
A second.
and it's properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. On our miscellaneous items that start on page 400, we have, I believe, 3 separate ones. The first item is a request to waive the exemption that goes for the 7 years. This is pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 62-4-123, which states that the student shall have 7 years from their start date, from the original start date, to complete their coursework. Ms. Anisha Moore's instructor has provided a lengthy letter explaining her situation. Ms. Moore served time in federal prison and then was incarcerated again a second time. The original enrollment date for her course was February of 2016, which puts her just past the 7 years. She is currently enrolled at Paul Mitchell School in Knoxville, and she really only needs 1 additional month to complete the 82 hours that she is missing. The board, for good cause, has done these exemptions or extensions, if you will, very few times, but it would be a situation similar to this. The law allows 7 years, which in general is enough time to complete, but due to her situation, she ran out of time to finish. So I'll be happy to let you review the letter. We would need a motion to extend the time, and again, it's really just 1 more month she's needing.
I make a motion to extend the time and allow her to bypass the 7-year requirement.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, members. On page 404, this is a request to waive the retest pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 62-4-114A, which states that a cosmetology instructor may, for good cause, be granted an additional year to complete their 16 hours of continuing education. The board may, for good cause, such as hardship or death in the immediate family, approve such an extension. Ms. Morgan Newman has emailed the board and explained several health issues that she had and therefore was not able to complete that continuing education. She is scheduled to take the session that has been approved for February 2024.
This is her second extension?
No, this would be her first. The statute, however, if they don't request it in advance, they would have to come before you. And if it's not done in advance, it would have to be for good cause, such as a death or health situation. And she's already gone past her renewal cycle.
I make a motion to grant her this exception and attend the class in February.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, members, I believe we're on page 408, and this is a request to take the eyelash specialist exam with a cosmetology license in Florida. So I have a feeling we will have some of these exceptions. We approved at the last meeting an esthetician that wanted to strictly test and get her eyelash specialist license, even though the education was in aesthetics, because we agreed that she would have covered the requirements. In this case, Ms. Bria Richardson has completed 1,200 hours in cosmetology. She is licensed in the state of Florida, so she would be applying for reciprocity in Tennessee. She passed the theory exam. Florida does not require a practical, so in Florida she could work in cosmetology, which includes eyelashes. She is not interested in the cosmetology license at this time in Tennessee. She's asking that those hours and that education be allowed for her to test. So by taking the aesthetics exams, we would, if the board agrees, be protecting the public by seeing both of those exams passed. And then we can use this for precedence unless the board sees fit for her to go back to her education.
Not licensed in Tennessee yet.
Not yet, correct.
She's seeking reciprocity from Florida, and then this would be a component.
Correct. And so in Tennessee, because she doesn't have the time and the experience in cosmetology, she would require the 300 hours and the practical the exams again. Yes.
We can approve her to test for only the eyelash.
That is her request, to take the 1,200 hours she has that cover obviously things she wouldn't be using, but would cover eyelash, and then approve those hours to go toward the 300, and she would still need both of those exams.
I make a motion to grant the request and have her test for the eyelash specialist license.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. And members, we will use this situation to not delay individuals for each meeting if we have similar cosmetologists requesting or estheticians. Just to point out, that would not be the case with manicuring or natural hair. What we've not seen yet would be a master barber interested in that. At that particular time, I can bring it before the board or we can decide, but obviously they touch on the curriculum that is makeup and skin and eyelashes as well. So at this time, it's just those two.
When that happens, y'all be prepared, I may faint.
I thought you were good.
So we will bring it before the board. I won't decide.
Maybe I'll be the first.
All right. I'm making a note that we can proceed with these going forward. Thank you, members. So next on your iPads, starting with page 416, will be the director's report, and then we will flip back to reciprocity if we aren't able to wait. I don't want to delay you all for any reason. So on page 415, this starts the review of our financial records. Fiscal year 2022-2023 has, of course, closed, and the record that you're looking before you on page 415 shows the 4 years. That's a document that I personally like looking at because it gives us some history as well. So the board did end the year in a deficit. It was $77,148. I think at our last meeting we were at 102. So final adjustments and changes before year end lowered that to the 77,000. Nevertheless, it was a deficit. We do have a surplus of $1,222,473. As of September 2023, which includes then the first 3 months, we do have and that's your following page, we are still at a deficit, not a high one, but it is still $22,372 of a deficit, bringing our reserve to just over $1,200,000. This program is very conservative with their expenses being such a high licensing and high number of complaints. We obviously have a lot of cost backs to look at. I still think we need to not worry about considering fee raises, not having any of those conversations. We're still at a good place. It's the first year we were at a deficit. For those of you that aren't aware, if for 2 years in a row we are at a loss, we would go before the legislative body. For lack of self-sufficiency. We are supposed to be self-sufficient. So at this time, I'm not concerned, but we're looking at everything. At the last meeting, we discussed licensing numbers, and I'm happy to email these to you if you are interested in them. So on page 417, I have numbers before you, kind of just to see. As all of you probably know, we have our active licensees, and then we have this program's interesting in that licensees can be in a grace period for 3 years. So the number of individuals that are in grace that could at any point simply pay the fee and come back really change our numbers. So it is important to count them in there because within those 3 years they can renew. So the numbers that you see toward the bottom reflect 90,807 licensees just within the different disciplines that we have. We have 10,292 cosmetology shops, 1,682 barber shops. Our number of schools are strictly the schools that we license, the private schools. Of course, you all know we have Tennessee College of Applied Technology schools that offer the curriculum. The number of high schools that offer it have increased drastically, and of course, some of the lockdown facilities and prisons offer it. So this is a general view of our licensing numbers, and we do still see an increase. So that 6.5 at the top of the page is an overall increase, and that is a percentage. You know, our barber schools are down, but it's across the board. Everything has increased by 6.5. Our shops, of course, have continued to increase. So that's one of the reasons that I don't see a concern, but we have had, adjustment in salaries that were very needed to bring state employees and from our office to legal to be paid and evaluated, which hadn't happened in years and years. So that did have an impact. I welcome any questions that you have, but periodically I like being able to, kind of show you some of these numbers of where we're at.
Roxana, I'm looking at the eyelash specialist, and there's one on that list. It would be interesting to keep note of who that one is and see how far that one runs, what it looks like 2 years from now or 10 years from now.
And we will. So I think I have our hair braiders registrants. I do. I have them separate at the bottom, only because that's not a license. It is a registrant. And so we have 4,000. That too is a pretty new statute. And so considering how many increase in the other disciplines, the hair braider registration has just really expanded. And many of them, not a huge percentage, but many are not even living in Tennessee. Our bordering states also use the registration process. So yes, I'll be interested to see how the eyelash specialist impacts us. And they, of course, follow the same fee structure that our other licensees. The hair braider registrant is only $30 instead of the $60. The eyelash specialist is exactly the same as all the others. The shop is the same fee, and so is the license.
On the budget, I did have a question a minute ago. In the upcoming year, do you anticipate any type of extraordinary technology chargebacks or anything like that, or are we looking pretty good for the upcoming year?
That is a great question. We are going to be seeing a pretty big cost back. It's supposed to be taken off of our reserves. And so if that's the case, because again, we have that 1,200,000, that would be great because the cost backs often are based on number of licensees or complaints. And so we're hit from both of those. But as long as that big impact comes from our reserves, I think we will be okay. And this, just to give you some additional information, this program is not alone. I have 9 industries I'm responsible for right now, and most of them are seeing this struggle. So we're just keeping a close eye on it.
As far as chargebacks, because I am new.
Yes.
Like when students who are going like from public schools that are getting the Brady's registration, that's one of their
Certificates.
Yeah, one of their certificates. What I've seen is one student may upload it 7 times, and then they get letters saying that they owe $30. Is that going onto our report, or is it just there? I mean, we're not counting that until it's paid, correct? Okay.
Not only paid, but so the numbers of licensees that you're looking at is strictly approved license or registration. In some of our, and you mentioned the hair braiders, licensees, they will make a mistake. We refund anyone that is making a mistake. We don't hold on to any funds. Other programs do. Some of their funds are non-refundable. I would hate for us to evaluate that and decide to not refund individuals because that John works hours every day. You would be shocked at how many people need to renew and apply brand new twice. So we refund a lot of money. We want to make sure, to be as fair as we possibly can. But these numbers reflect only true licenses that are approved. Yes. Hearing no questions, we're going to head on back to our reciprocity application. And if Ms. Roberts is able to join us, that's great. If not, I think I have enough information for us to proceed. This is on page 367 of your iPads. And so I apologize, we're going back and forth, but I'll let everybody take a minute. And this is a reciprocal application first that we're going to cover. So the application there is for a master barber license. And let me get to the right page myself. $367. This application is for a master barber license from Alabama for Miss Priscilla Humphrey. The certification that you see reflects that in 1997, she was licensed and certified as a cosmetologist. Alabama certified that she took the cosmetology and the instructor exam. So she is licensed in the state of Alabama as a cosmetology instructor. She was grandfathered as a master barber, a barber instructor in 2014. Ms. Humphreys has provided documents for you to review as far as her work experience. So Alabama took her cosmetology instructor license and allowed her to be grandfathered as a barber instructor as well. And at this point in time, we have something similar in Tennessee. Our instructors are able to get that dual second instructor license, if you will. So all that to say, she is actually wanting to pursue her barber instructor license in Tennessee. So she didn't necessarily test as a barber instructor in Alabama, but she does have those credentials that allowed her to cross over. And she is asking for her barber instructor license be approved via reciprocity in Tennessee. And at this point, I would recommend that given her work experience, that she's been using it, and that she is a licensed cosmetology instructor, that we approve that request for her reciprocal license.
I make a motion.
We have a motion and a second by Mola to approve. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Dana, I just want to check with you real quick. By any chance, Amy Roberts, are you on the call, Miss Roberts? Okay. Thank you. And so I will be happy to proceed if the members are okay with me explaining the situation, why we left it for the end. So Ms. Humphreys was hired by Columbia Central High School in 2022. She started the barbering program based on the Department of Education standards that they were using at that time. Under the section for the industry certifications that the instructors must hold, and again, this is the Department of Education, this is not one of our private schools, they stated that the individual hired to teach our curriculum would need to have a Tennessee license or a license in another state. And so based on that, or the Department of Education did hire Ms. Humphrey to start teaching our barbering program. This came to the attention of our board in September of 2023 when Ms. Humphreys needed to set up the school with the barbering program to submit the monthly hours. And so during the time of August 2022 through now currently, but September when we found out, that school was not only teaching the cosmetology correctly with a licensed cosmetology instructor, but they had launched the barber program. And they launched it with the understanding that they could because she was licensed in another state. As this came about, we had several conversations. I was involved in those conversations with the Department of Education. At some point, and you can see on the documents Ms. Roberts' explanation of why they hired her. She's also been given credentials in Tennessee to be able to teach. They have clarified their documents and removed the statement or licensed in another state. How that change came about, I don't know. As you know, the Department of Education does a phenomenal job with everything they do, right? Some of us have had high schoolers. We get that. And so at some point, that language was added, whether it was because they were short instructors, I don't know. But obviously, we need them to be licensed in Tennessee to teach our curriculum. So that's been rectified. What would normally happen when a school adds curriculum, that would be the prisons coming through the Department of Corrections. They let us know that at a particular facility, Bledsoe, for example, when they added their program, it's the one that comes to mind because it's relatively new. They reached out to me and said, we've got some space. We want to teach this curriculum. It's not that we approve them. We don't have jurisdiction to approve or deny them, but we need to know so that we understand those hours are coming into the board and that a licensed instructor is teaching. This would be very similar with the Department of Education and the high school. Someone in a CTE or a supervisory role lets our office know we've added the barber program and here's where we're adding it. And we register them in our system. That just means we're giving them a number. Again, we don't license them. We can't deny what they do. We don't inspect them, but we need to know because they have to provide monthly hours, just like our private schools do. And so that school missed that piece, missed letting us know in August 2022 that they were offering the Barber program. They have rectified their statement of needing an out of Tennessee license, so that has been cleared. It's my understanding that this is one of those fluke situations, kind of the perfect storm. They launched a program. We're very excited. They have a lot of students. So you've got in here a monthly hours report for you to review, and I'll go back through my notes to not miss anything. Ms. Amy Roberts is the CTE director for Maury County. I've also spoken to Ms. Kelly, Stephanie Kelly, and I work with her on different things with the Department of Education. So I'm very involved and aware of all the moving pieces. And again, the high schools have increased our curriculum. It's been a great thing. If a student can get barbering or cosmetology finished in high school, that's fantastic. Whether then they go on to college, they've got an avenue to provide for themselves until they do, or just stay in the industry. As it turns out, 78 students have been registered and taking barbering since August of 2022. They've accumulated a total of 9,365 hours. So I had them prepare a report that would be a year-to-date total, so you could take a look at what we're addressing. These 9,300 hours are in barbering between August and May of 2023. The students are really only taking 10 to 15 hours per month. So for our instructors and school owners, that's not a lot. That's 2 days maybe, right? But to them it is. And so as we had the conversations, and I had them with our CTE supervisor, with Ms. Roberts, who is phenomenal. So this was obviously a big shock to them. But as we had the conversations, she said, which means the world to me, and I know it will to you, these students see the light. They come to school in some cases because that's what they want to do. This is the highlight of their day. So we don't want to switch them to cosmetology. They want to stay in barbering. And so I want us, keeping that in mind, we've not stopped them from going because it's not the student's fault, right? And in many cases, we've made decisions such as this. As long as the student is not hurt by the decision, they are thrilled to be doing it. The school meant no harm. We've rectified it. But obviously, you would be the ones addressing any additional questions. So again, some numbers. We've got 78 students involved, 9,365 hours in that entire school year, 10 to 15 hours per month. Additionally, between that, they are currently still offering the program. So right now we've approved Ms. Humphrey. She would be the licensed barber instructor, able to continue those hours. They're going to make sure that their hours from September through now, the new calendar year for the high school, include the proper number. We want to make sure that the students are on the correct report so that going forward, if they don't finish and they're graduating, they've got the right number to take with them. So at this point, Ms. Roberts' explanation was going to be part of what I'm giving. We would be approving for those hours to count. In other words, accept that monthly year-to-date report and allow the school to move forward. It's a lot of information, so I'll stop talking.
Roxanne and I have read through all that documentation very well, and thank you for all the work you put in on that. I know it's unfortunate that something like that happened to come up, but in the bureaucracies of all of the school systems, not just private schools, but all the school systems, there's a lot of checks and balances, and it's certainly possible for something like that to slip through the crack on a new program. And we want to encourage that. It's always been, at least my outlook, that we don't want to do anything to harm students or to have a negative impact on students outside of where we absolutely must. So I'm confident that the different bodies that oversee all of the education system there have updated and met the requirements that they need to do to make sure we're right going forward, make sure we're communicating well. So I just wanted to add that. we would need a motion to approve these hours. Is that correct?
Correct. I would need a motion to approve the year-to-date amount, and obviously, once she's gets her reciprocity license, she's perfectly fine. They know the ratio, 15 to 1. All those pieces should be set in motion.
So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. She is licensed in Tennessee now, right?
Well, you all just approved her. So she's not today. She will be when we get upstairs. I have her application. I'll be approving her reciprocity license via her Alabama master barber instructor. Yes, ma'am.
All right, on page 377.
That is from the Department of Education, not from us. They have approved her, and she has an instructor, an educator's license in Tennessee.
Okay.
But it's the Department of Education. That is not ours. Yes.
All right.
Yes. So as you can see, and that's what Ms. Roberts pointed to, she has met the credentials that the Department of Education gives all their instructors. They didn't realize this or piece from ours. No. You're welcome.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you very much for hearing me out and understanding the situation. One quick note on reciprocity. We mentioned in one of the complaints some states that struggle with reciprocity. We have at least 2 that have schools that have been revoked or have various issues with documentation and hours and so forth. We, as a board in 2015, I believe, made a decision on 9 schools in Texas and not accepting the hours. What I'd like to present as time goes by, because we're still seeing some of those, if these students attended one of these 9 schools between the period where the Texas State Board audited the records and was able to confirm that these students did not live in Texas, therefore didn't go to school, and all of that for those of you that remember. We since then have not accepted any students that came from these 9 schools, not if they went to the schools prior to the audit period or after. And so we've presented a few that went to school, way before that, before the board, and on one by one, we approved those if the time period was so off. So what I'd like us just to have a quick conversation, and if you're comfortable with it and you give me permission, that's great. If not, we'll keep bringing them forth. If a student went to one of these 9 schools, now, for those that don't know, the schools were never revoked in Texas. They paid a civil penalty, and some did change ownership, but the schools are very much open. Those licenses in Texas were never revoked. They were in Tennessee because they weren't obtained through the proper educational path. But what I would like you to consider is if a student went to one of those schools outside of the time period of the audit and after the time when the schools made it right, however they made it right with Texas, not by us, would the board be okay with us accepting their license and proceeding to approve via reciprocity, or do you still want to see those? We have one such case that didn't present her document, so I couldn't put her, but she attended after this entire period because, again, the school is properly licensed right now.
Roxana, I don't know if you can remember, that's been about, almost 5 years ago?
2015 was when they finished the audit.
Okay.
Yes.
So we were dealing with that in 15, 16, 17. Wow. I think I remember some of the names. Okay. So it would seem that the majority of the people who probably were actually involved in that have probably moved on into some other things. Maybe it could still pop back up.
Those licenses were never revoked, so they could pop up 20 years from now, today. What we do with all Texas applicants that does add to our licensing time is they have to provide us their education document that says what school they attended. That's not the case. Right now it's California and Texas. So if you're coming from another state, we don't need to see your high school credentials. We know that you're licensed in that state. But because those two states happen to have a lot of schools that were revoked, we have to see the education. So that's an added time to them, an inconvenience, and it may even it cost them money to request that. But again, given the situation, that was the board's decision. I don't know if this is a good time to readdress it, or at least look at the period after that audit. And we've got the magical dates, if you will, of how long that period of the Texas State Board used to audit. If you're good with that, then when we see that their education was after that fact or way before it, we could go ahead and just approve them for reciprocity.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
You're saying that this board pays to get those documentation?
We do not. It's the applicant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. No.
I got a question also.
Yes.
What's the backstory that you're talking about? Because I have not a clue.
So it's very lengthy. I will summarize it. It came about through complaints, just like what Michael Underhill presented today, right? Accusations that licensees were getting a license in Tennessee with Texas licenses, and they never lived in Texas, never attended school, but paid for it. The investigation took a long time. It involved several attorneys, as you know, we working with Texas to really explain the situation. It was false licenses. Someone on their board was part of it. It was pretty intense. Did take a long time. I think the audit, it took close to 2 years before we had an answer. So we, on all of those licenses that were reviewed, and the finding in the end was that they did not live in Texas. So there's no way they really could have gone to school, but they did test in Texas. There was video of them testing and passed. So it would appear that the funds were used to prepare you for the exam, not to actually educate you. So the board's decision at that time was to revoke those licenses. And then those schools that were found to be doing it wrong, we would not accept their education at all. So that's kind of where we're at now. So we deny those currently.
Recall the testing company? Was it a breach of the
no,
test?
PSI. Yeah, they tested. There's video. They did test and pass.
They just falsified their credentials to be able to test in applications.
I'm at the hours, really.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
They never obtained the hours, but they did pass the exams.
Finalized.
Pardon me?
Finalized.
Education.
Realistically, how many of these cases do we think will show up after this amount of time?
I see 2, 3 a year, maybe more. You think? So in the time period of the audit, we still see those. So I would say that we have 6 to 15 a year easily that we deny that legitimately fall in that time span. That those, unless the board chooses to change it, we would still be denying. But the people outside of that audit period that covered 5 years, 4 years of time is what Texas looked at. So outside of that time period, because the schools are currently open, they might have changed ownership or they paid a very high civil penalty, but they are legitimate licensed schools in the state of Texas. Those licenses would be otherwise valid for reciprocity. And in other states, they're getting approved, right? This was an investigation that Tennessee required, and we made sure what was completed so we could make a decision. Other states aren't following this particular case.
You have reasonable confidence that the ones coming out of those schools now have checked the boxes and done it correctly? I
would not be able to say that. For our school owners, you can vouch for your own school. I'm guessing that's all you can vouch for, right?
Now, do we have proof that these folks have professional experience as well, or is it just that they're holding a license and applying for reciprocity from 5-6 years ago?
Nothing in our statute has us dive into professional experience. Reciprocity simply says in order to not have to test, you must have an active license that substantially meets our credentials. So we evaluate substantial by the number of hours we have and experience. This board is amazing at looking at experience at that point to kind of describe what substantial would be. So it's been over a year, back to Amy's point, I think even longer, where we decided if you have had a license for 1 year and can show that it's been an active license, that experience replaces the hours. So if you're coming from New York and you have 1,000 hours, but you've worked a year, you've probably covered the education that was needed. And you do need both exams, theory and practical. If you're missing the practical and you've had a license for 10 years, this board decided that that practical could be waived because you've been practicing for 10 years. If you're missing both, which is the case for manicuring aesthetics, just to pick on in Florida, in that case, it's a lot lengthier. We've approved only one individual and they've been licensed for 30 years with 0 exams. For the most part, that's how the board interprets we protect the public, is by having them take the exams. Does that answer the question?
I mean, I think at this point too, right, we're offering licenses, and receiving applications, I should say, for folks from outside of the country and in all 50 states. It's impossible to know, Roxana, to your point, which schools are doing what at any given time. And I think we've decided the tests are really that litmus point of, are you in, are you out? So I guess at this point I would be comfortable with you approving those that education outside of that audit period. I am very proud of our state and this board for not allowing those hours during that audit period from the California schools and the Texas schools. I'm really proud of us for deciding that. But going forward, I would be okay with you accepting those.
Roxana, we need a motion on that, or?
Yes, I believe Amy's motion would be as long as it's outside of the audit period.
You want me to make an official motion?
Could you?
That will be my official motion, that we allow the office to accept those hours, education from those schools on the naughty list, outside of the audit window.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Roxana, you got more work.
Thank you. That's okay, because it's work there anyway. This will move them and get them licensed faster. I appreciate that immensely. I think we are done with most of our agenda items. Back to Chairman Gillihan pointed out, anyone that is participating through Teams or here in person. Our group left us. That has any comments regarding the agenda, or for that matter, anything we've discussed, they're welcome to go ahead and participate before we take a motion to adjourn.
But we'll give you about 3 minutes to 3 hours. No, just please come up and introduce yourself and have your say.
Well, thank you. My name's Mike Franklin, and I am on Aspire Barber and Beauty Academy in Cookeville. We were licensed just last year, so we're not even a year in yet. I also own a salon and spa there in that town as well. And you talked a little bit about reciprocity today. So I am just curious, because I have seen a lot of things and I've heard from a lot of people since we opened this school. And it's only been 8 months. And I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into it. But what my question is, I know some states have already combined cosmetology and barbering. I know in our school, the students will be ready. It's already proven. I mean, we have salons across the city just hammering down our doors wanting the students coming out already, and we haven't even graduated one yet, but they see what we're doing there. They can cut men's hair, they can cut women's hair. They are going to be able to and have the knowledge for everything that they want to do within this industry. Yes, they're already doing, they'll be able to do nails. We've had classes where they are airbrushing already. They're doing a little bit of everything within this barbering program, because when I talk to people who have graduated and say, what did you miss while you were in school? What do you wish you had done differently? The number one answer that I get is, I wish I'd paid attention to everything that we did, other than I thought I wanted to be a barber. I concentrated on that. I didn't pay any attention to color. Now I own a salon and people are coming to me and I have no clue. I'm trying to learn this stuff on YouTube. So we bypass nothing. I know we're not the average school. I know every does things. But my question to you is there a thought of ever combining these in Tennessee?
That is a statute change. So you met one of our wonderful House representatives. A statute change would have to come about. You would reach your House representative or senator and propose combining the licenses.
Several of them, so. Thank you so much.
Great question. I love to hear the things you had to say.
And thank you so much for the work that you do here. I know it's not easy. I'm on hold.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for your comment. Really appreciate that. Members, I turn it over to you. I don't have anything else at the time, so all yours. And
well, folks, here we are once again at the end. I wish everybody safe travels and happy, healthy lives. Enjoy the holiday seasons. I appreciate again all your hard work. And before we adjourn today, I want to just call out these young folks sitting here in front of us who really do all the work. Roxana and her staff, John, you know, we couldn't do this. We couldn't manage any of this without you guys. You do it all. Joe, welcome to the show. We're a little rough on attorneys around here, I think, sometimes. Hopefully, you're gonna get as much education and enjoyment out of this as we do. Our new members, welcome sincerely. Thank you for taking your time and your efforts to be a part of this. I know that going forward, you're going to see what an impact that you're able to have on the industry and the well-being of this in the state of Tennessee. So welcome, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, Patty, Frank, if you guys are watching, we're going to miss you. Thank you for everything you've done. You mean the world to us, and we appreciate you guys. Enjoy. Okay. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you in February.
and from John and I and our staff, thank you for everything you do. We really, really appreciate you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Give me your email. I'll send you one.
MC.